Football head coach Tom Masella following the Seahawks 2025 season, where they went 5-7 and 4-3 in NEC play and posted their highest win total since the 2016 season. Coach, can you give me your summary on how the season went, the schedule, and everything?
Yeah, I think it was the tale of two halves. First half of the season, we lost had some disappointing games, and I think the season turned after the Central Connecticut game where we lost in overtime. And from that point on, I thought our kids showed great determination, great character, and competing all the way through. And I think our last 7 games came down to the last possession of the game, and certainly I thought our kids performed well and showed that we can be a program that can compete for a conference title in the NEC. So, overall disappointed, but also proud of the way our kids finished.
How would you summarize the team's overall growth from the start of the season to the final game?
Yeah, I think certainly we found a way and learned how to win, and I think that's a valuable lesson that hopefully we can carry on and our young players will build upon, is that there's a very small margin between winning and losing, and certainly we showed that over the course of the season. We lost a lot of heartbreakers, and we won a lot of close games that came down to the wire. So I think over the course of the year, our kids started to understand how important it is to play each play and prepare to play well each and every week, because there is such a fine line between winning and losing. So I thought we made a lot of progress. Certainly we can compete with anybody in our league, and we were within a overtime away of winning the league championship. So a lot of things to build upon. Disappointed that we didn't win a league championship, but there's certainly a lot of things that we can look forward to and point towards the future.
And that was something, too, that those first 2 real tight games in conference play, was there a point in that Central Connecticut game or a point after that game where you kind of saw everyone group together and then go on that 4-game win streak?
I think it was Central proved to our kids that they could win, and that we were really, really close. And the Duquesne game the following week, after a heartbreaking loss to Central, showed that we're as talented as anybody in our league. And certainly it played out that way over the next 4. And the last game of the season, I think we ran out of healthy bodies. And although we competed to the very end of that game where it came down to the last drive. So I think when you look at the entirety of the season, our kids realize that they're as talented as anyone, and if we do things the right way on a week-in, week-out basis, that we're going to have a chance to win.
What were some of the biggest defining moments to you this season?
I would say the last drive against Duquesne, where we closed out the game. I would say the last drive against St. Francis, where we kicked the winning field goal. Holding on defense against Robert Morris on the road. I think all those moments were defining. I think you could go Stonehill. They had the ball with a chance to score and win, and we held on in that game. So I think over those last 4 or 5, 6 weeks, there were a lot of positives of individual players and certainly a lot of different players along the way, making plays that allowed us to find a way to win. So I think there were a lot of great moments across the last 5 weeks of the season.
You mentioned it a little bit already, but how important is it to you to get across how razor thin that margin is between a win and a loss? Because it felt like every week you make that one play, that's why you won, or you don't make that one play, that's why you don't win.
Yeah, I listen. I stress that all the time, that the margin of error between winning and losing is really, really thin, and I think our kids started to realize that as the season went on. And I think if you pound the message home, sometimes it starts to stick. And I certainly felt that was the case this year, that they started to realize that, coach is not just an old guy crazy, but what his message was absolutely the truth. So it's good to see that our kids finally took to that advice and that message, and certainly they bought into that.
What young players do you feel position themselves for expanded roles going into next year?
Well, I think it starts at quarterback. I thought Jack Stevens, towards the end of the year, started to make plays that you could see he has a lot of potential. I think on offense, James Aldridge came in and did some great things on the O-line. Receiver-wise, I think there was, Perk made some plays down the stretch, and at running back, Sekou, you started to see Matt Murad, another redshirt freshman, started to play. Johan Bars as a tight end, Chris Harris, all young guys, started to contribute with a big way on offense. Nick Romero on special teams, kicking 14 out of 15 field goals as a true freshman is something that's really special. And then on defense, I thought we were a little bit older, but you saw some of the young kids come in and contribute along the way. Darren Omareji, transferring and did some good things. Up front, it was pretty much an older group, but along the way, Eli Hiscock came in and did some things. Kamari Valentine as a nose tackle did some really good things as a young player. There are countless. Ethan Apollon led the country in strip sacks. So, a lot of good things from a lot of good young players that have a promising future. Although I look at the future as, as we go through these season-ending meetings, who may or may not go in the portal, but it sounds like right now we have a lot of good players returning that are young and just starting to develop. So we got to add to those pieces and keep on growing as individuals and as a team.
And what's a moment or a time you'll remember most about coaching this year's Wagner Seahawks?
Yeah, I just think the entirety of the season, I thought it was heartbreaking at Central, but it was really great to see how we responded after that week. And certainly I thank all our seniors for the way they led and kept the team together. I don't know if a year ago we would have had the success down the stretch that we had this year. So I think that's a credit to all our seniors who came in here during COVID when things weren't real promising around here, from the building itself to all the things that went on, to certainly the way those kids performed and stuck together and performed down the stretch this past season.
And you mentioned it a little bit before with the offseason coming up and all your exit meetings. What are some priorities for you going into this offseason?
Yeah, I think one is to keep the good players that we have. That's number one, and then build on it. I think we proved that we have the ability to compete for a championship, and now we got to build on that and get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster in the offseason and take it to another level. We got to look at what we did offensively, defensively, and special teams wise as a coaching staff and build upon that. But and then we have to add pieces. We're going to have some transfer pieces come in. We're going to have some new freshmen come in at some point, whether it's in the fall or this January. So there's no point that you can stay the same. You have to keep getting better and improving and finding ways to improve. So certainly we're looking at all those things right now, and we'll talk about it more as we go through December and January and go through recruiting. So, yeah.
Did you talk about the impact of the Touchdown Club, the donors, and the alumni that come back to support every week?
I think one of the best things that we've done since I've come back here is that tailgating in the far corner of our building. I think that's great for our alums. I think it's great for our players and their families. It shows what type of football family we have here, And that's a great credit to John Shafalo and his wife and his daughter and George Gaspar Sr. and all the people that have joined in and started to make that a great tradition here. And certainly I can't thank them enough because that's one of the best things we do, and I think it shows what type of people we have in our football family here at Wagner. And certainly we can keep building upon it. I don't know how much John can build upon it, but certainly he did a great job this past year, and everybody raved about it. So it's a fun atmosphere on game day here at Grimes Hill. So we got to keep building upon that.
And what's the offseason look like now for you, planning ahead towards spring ball and looking towards next fall?
Yeah, right now we're in the middle of recruiting. Recruiting's different than it's ever been. Usually I'd be on the road today, but the calendar has changed, so the signing date has been pushed up, so we're going to sign a couple guys on this coming Wednesday. And then we have to start worrying about the transfer portal and bringing in transfers. And then in January, getting on to, our high school, finishing up our high school class. And before you know it, we'll be rolling around. Our kids will be back on campus and, getting to that routine of getting in the weight room, getting bigger, stronger, faster, and preparing for spring ball and everything else that takes place afterwards.
Any other closing remarks from you?
Yeah, I'd like to tell everybody that today, you can see what we can be. It's been a long struggle for 5 years here, but the light is at the end of the tunnel, and good things are happening. And I look forward to our future here at Wagner with our current players, the ones we'll add, and certainly our support that we get from our Wagner football community.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Excited to see you next year.
Thank you.